I was so excited when I found a land case file where Grandpa was a witness, but then I realized it was 110 pages. I took one look at all that legal speak and I set it aside for 2 years. But now I've got NotebookLM, and when I put those pages in there, what came out I did not expect.
Carbon in between, stacked neat and tight. Tapped out lines in a steady flow.
Family Search, Full Text Search had just opened up a whole new world of unindexed documents when I stumbled on this set of documents. I downloaded Grandpa's testimony, but the rest of this dim, blurry legal stuff, even if I could read it, would I understand what I read? But here we are 2 years later, and AI can help. It already transcribed my pages using Gemini 3.0. I'll link that video in the show notes in case you haven't seen it. And it understands legal speak. The current AI tools are changing really, really fast. Way faster than Rebecca Leslie's land contest. That will make more sense in just a minute. Let's set up a notebook.
Top page clean, but the back stayed bare.
So here's what I have. All 110 pages transcribed and combined into one text file. It's about 20,000 words. And here's a Google Doc containing basic facts about key individuals in this land case. And I compiled these notes using, well, regular old genealogical snooping. Let me just load these. And up here, NotebookLM has a little summary. You can see my key individuals. Orland Carver, that's Grandpa, he's a witness. Rebecca Leslie, she wants to own a ranch. And then there's Samuel Freed, whose homestead has been, well, looking downright empty every time Rebecca drives past it. So she's going to contest his claim, which is basically saying, hey, you aren't following the homestead rules, so I think you should give that land back, and why not let me have it? The last key person is L.G. Gillespie. He's Samuel's attorney. He's going to make this take a very long time.
Friends, associates, neighbors.
In genealogy circles, you've probably heard the term fan club. That's the friends, associates, and neighbors of the people you're researching. I wasn't going to invest much time in this fan club, but then I saw Rebecca Leslie's name and I thought, wait, where have I seen that name before? I went through my research and here it is. It's in my Carver homestead paperwork. The family had to leave the homestead for a few months, so they filled out a leave of absence application. And that's her signature right there. So Grandpa testifies for Rebecca in 1907, and Rebecca signs for Grandpa in 1909. I guess they're like witness buddies. Now, how do I want NotebookLM to talk to me? If I click this customize icon up here, I can tell it to keep things concise and ask me clarifying questions as needed. And down here, I can choose whether my answer should be default, longer, or shorter. Let's try shorter. I don't like to be buried in walls of information, so we'll just see how that works out. Oh, also, I'm going to ask it not to reveal the ending of the story until I use a magic phrase. Let's say reveal ending is our magic phrase. That way we can keep the ending secret until the end. Now to ask some questions. How about, tell me about this land contest case in 1 or 2 sentences. Okay, it says that Rebecca challenged Samuel's land claim because he never built a house or lived on the homestead. Instead of trying to prove that he did live there, Samuel tried to get the case thrown out because of a typo in the property description. Now, what about Rebecca? Let's find out a little more about her. How old is she? How does she support herself? Well, it says she's a school teacher. She's 30, unmarried, and in 1907, that made her a spinster. Not exactly a compliment in those days, but one thing about being a spinster, I think that's what made her eligible to file for a homestead. Shall we make sure? Let me go up here to the search the web area. You've got choices here. You can do quick research or deep research. I want to do a quick search for the Homestead Act and women's eligibility. And it found me 10 options. Let's just check these. Well, these two look like they have the info we need. So I'm going to pull them in. And let's ask, can an unmarried woman file a homestead claim in Nebraska? Yes, single women aged 21 or over, widows, and women who were heads of household could file. So Rebecca was eligible. Samuel's homestead sat empty, and she saw her opportunity.
Homesteads are perfect for spinsters.
You had to live on your homestead for 5 years, but in 1912 that changed to 3 years, and you couldn't just pitch a tent and call it a day. You had to make improvements to the property, worth at least $1.25 per acre, and you needed to actually reside on the land. These are the rules. And what Rebecca is saying in her contest paperwork is that Samuel didn't follow these rules. What did the opening summary say again? At the hearing, Samuel tried to get the case thrown out on a typo. Let's ask more about that. Well, it says that when Rebecca officially challenged Samuel's land claim, the local land office sent him a notice, but the carbon copy he received contained a clerical error. That is a little vague, and it's not exactly how I remember it. I don't think the land offices sent Samuel the notice, so let's just click on the citation number here and do a little fact checking.
But the carbon copy didn't take that day.
All right, here's the deal. NotebookLM reviewed one section of the land case transcript. Nowhere in this section does it say how the documents were delivered to Samuel, so I guess it jumped to a conclusion. These case files repeat themselves a lot, and there are pages from different time frames and dates and different people's testimony, and they can all say different things. So we really need NotebookLM to review the whole document before answering. Let's update the custom instructions to say that. I'm going to say, when answering questions about the land contest, cross-reference testimony, rulings, and affidavits before drawing conclusions. And next, I'm going to adjust the response length here from short to default. If it's leaving out information in order to be concise, maybe this will fix it. Okay, now I'm going to say, hey, are you really sure the court sent Samuel that document? Because that's not how I remember it. And here we go. It says, you are completely right to question that detail. Rebecca handed Samuel the document at his house about 2 miles north of the land in question. At the hearing, the lawyer asked, did you read the notice over before you handed it to Mr. Freed? And Rebecca said, no, because when they were made out, I looked them over, and I did not suppose they changed any during the time I had them. Do I detect a hint of sarcasm in that response, Miss Rebecca?
Got us nowhere.
But wait, why was Samuel living 2 miles north of the empty homestead? Let's ask. Where was Samuel living when Rebecca served him the paperwork? It says at his house 2 miles away with an address in Badger. Let's try again. Yes, but whose house was it? Whose property? Because he obviously wasn't living on his own homestead. Okay. It says he's living on his daughter's property, and he's put over $3,000 into developing and maintaining it. So why? Where's his daughter? In 1906, she married a station agent, and he's never really lived on the property. She comes and visits sometimes. They move around a lot. So based on this, it kind of sounds like Samuel might not have the time or money to develop his own homestead. And when he filed for this homestead in 1904, he probably didn't know he would need to be caring for his daughter's place. So it sounds like he's got more than he can take care of. And then this young lady, she comes marching up to his door with homestead contest paperwork. What does he do? He calls LG Gillespie because that's who you call when you need a land attorney. And LG says, hey, here's an angle. She has an error right here in the paperwork. Now, what was wrong with that document? Something must have happened while Rebecca was typing it. She takes 2 pieces of paper and sandwiches carbon paper between them, inserts the paper into the slot, twists the large black knobs, lowers the bail, and begins to type.
Southeast 1/4, section 28, east 1/2, northeast 1/4, and north 1/2.
And as she removes the pages, she realizes, oops, that should have been section 34. And she left out one of those northwest 1/4 thingies, so she takes a pen and she adds manual corrections. So there we go, all finished. Just one problem. The pen corrected the top page. That's what went to the county. but apparently it didn't get through the carbon paper to the copy, and that's what Rebecca delivered to Samuel. I wonder how they used this against her in the hearing, though. Let's ask. So Samuel's lawyer tried to get it all thrown out? It says yes. LG argued that because the copy had an incorrect property description, Samuel was never legally served. But the local land officers just kind of rolled their eyes and they said, no, obviously this is the land she's referring to. Let's ask about the witnesses.
Can you draw?
Wilson Hupp lived 3 miles away. The place looked deserted to him, but he couldn't completely draw the homestead on a map. Then they called Grandpa, who also couldn't really draw Samuel's homestead, but he could say that nobody lived around there for a mile in any direction except Rebecca. Now I wonder, when Grandma was getting Grandpa Carver all packed up and ready to head for the land office, did she prep him for questioning? Now, Orly, you know they might ask you to draw the homestead on a map. Can you do that? Is it L-shaped or is it a big square? So we've confirmed that neither witness can draw, but also neither of them saw any activity on Samuel's homestead. The land officers agree, but LG, he's a persistent attorney. He appeals the ruling. The courts turn him down. I wonder how many times he appealed. Well, let's ask, how many times did LG appeal and what was the outcome? It says Samuel Freed's legal team filed 3 separate appeals and a final motion for review. When the 3rd appeal was rejected, LG swore an affidavit for one last motion for review in May of 1910. How did this end? Did Rebecca get the land? It says it can't tell me unless I use the magic phrase. Remember, I put that in the instructions at the beginning. Don't reveal the ending unless I provide the magic phrase. Shall I do it?
Reveal ending.
Well, it says that after 3 years of legal battles, Samuel finally stopped appealing and his homestead claim was officially canceled on July 7, 1910. Rebecca got her patent in 1914. The wheels of government just kept on churning ever so slowly. That same year, Samuel and his wife moved to Portland, Oregon to be near one of their daughters. So Samuel's with his family, and Rebecca, for now, we can think about our school teacher out in the Sandhills, just a few miles south of Big Sandy Creek, looking over her land. It won't be easy, but it'll be hers. I'm Nancy at Legacy Carvers, and I'm curious, what old documents have you found lately that might hold hidden stories? Is there a Rebecca in your filing cabinet? What's keeping you from finding her? If you'd like to hear more about land case files, I'll put a link down in the show notes to another video. It might be on your screen up here too. Go and watch it, and I'll see you again soon.
Over fair and square. Didn't know what was missing there. Top page clean, but the back stayed bare. That little mistake got us nowhere. You can blame the pen.
This section here doesn't match the survey, and this line is completely off. How? I have no idea.
Now they argued lines and what was meant
over what was wrote and what was sent.
One said this and one said that,
all over a line that the copy lacked.